first, welcome Rabbi Megdal, to Karen. So excited. It has been an incredible week to have you in the office and engaging and just bringing your presence. It has been terrific. So I've been thinking about what my first of our Torah with you here might be about. I'm still wondering that, but I have a few notes here. So I want to start by telling you about the Rose Reading Room in New York City. It's in the New York Public Library. Has anyone been in the main reading room in the New York Public Library? Karen has, and Tricia has, and David has, and others as well. It is an amazing place. It is one of my favorite places in New York City, just adjacent to Bryant Park. And you may know that underneath Bryant Park are the stacks of the New York Public Library. They say that underneath Bryant Park, where you might have been for a concert or just sitting out for a cup of coffee or just sunbathing or watching a movie, they do so many public events in Bryant Park. But underneath there are an estimated 4 million pieces of the library collection that are stored there. So it's incredible. So back in 1996, which is last millennia, I applied to rabbinical school. So I took the Amtrak up to New York, and I stayed with a friend the night before to make sure that I was going to be there on time. I did not want to be late for any part of this experience. That I woke up in the morning, and if I told you I went to Zabar's, that would be not true, but it would probably be a better story. But I wandered around the city so nervous about what I was going to do. I was going to go uptown, probably further than I had ever been uptown before, somehow on the New York City subway system, and I was going to sit in this iconic place telling them why I wanted to be a rabbi. Horrible, intimidating, moments of why, who am I kidding here? So I needed to organize my thoughts about why I wanted to be a rabbi in a better version than all of the versions I had done in doing the application and in convincing myself of doing the application. So I thought for big thoughts, I needed a place of big ideas, and I went to the Rose Reading Room. And I must have sat there for at least 2 hours. I was journaling and thinking and making fictitious apologies to the committee for wasting their time. Rabbi Megdal or Rabbi Rudolph or Rabbi Abramson, maybe you can appreciate the sense of emotions that I'm describing. But on your first Shabbat here, at your first full-time position, Rabbi Megdal, I wanted to reflect on what laid ahead for me and what might lay ahead for you. What clarified for me in the reading room was being a rabbi, was being a teacher and an advocate of ideas, of being a counselor, was being a leader within a community, and so much more. And I found this to be true. It is the greatest and the hardest thing I could ever do. The greatest is I'm a teacher of Torah in the broadest sense, not just Genesis to Deuteronomy, but the entire Tanakh and so much more that falls under the category of being Torah, even sitting with my friends and talking about the artistry on the cover, I think counts in this sense. And in teaching, you are simultaneously learning, that you present an idea, and there is always someone smarter in some sphere in the room with you. And so where I am both an expert, I am also a learner. And that is incredible. That is an incredible gift of being able to combine both of those. So of teaching and exploring Torah, it's the greatest place to do it within the Jewish world. I'm invited into people's lives. We are invited into people's lives in beautiful ways. I remember my first high holidays here, I looked out and I knew probably fewer people than you know at this point. There were some people on the search committee and people that had welcomed me, and over the years I remember that the stories kept growing. And today, starting my 20th high holidays, I look out and I can see so many stories of moments that we have shared and laughed and cried together. And it is an honor to be invited in to people's lives like that. It is one of the greatest jobs I can imagine because there's a real possibility of impacting people's lives. Real possibility of making our lives better, of clarifying aspects of our lives. We get to grapple with life's biggest questions about God and how to be a better person and how to love and to live after losses. That is incredible. And we don't do this alone. Generations of rabbis before us have struggled with these same questions. We stand on the shoulders of a tradition rich with insights and observation and generosity. So whereas we individually may be the rabbi before someone, we do not stand there alone. But this is also the hardest job you can ever imagine, and it is harder in ways I could not have imagined. That there is so much more to know and to do and to engage in. It is a perpetual feeling that if I only had more time, or if I only was a better person, if I was more generous, if I was more to give, because there is an unlimited hole of need within a congregation and within the world. And we singularly cannot fill that. But I truly appreciate that image of the boy putting his finger in the dike, trying to hold back the flood waters. And sometimes we encounter that as a rabbi. There's an unlimited number of emails and phone calls to return, and you have to apologize when you just don't get to them all. And you keep trying harder. And this is a job that is best done in person and face-to-face and building connections, but too often people only give us a moment rather than a relationship. They drop in for a moment where they expect to be transformed, not realizing that the true transformation only happens through relationship, over time, building and being challenged and being together. It is demanding and it is rewarding. It is the greatest honor that you can have to be called someone's rabbi. But not to be called someone's rabbi out of a job title, but to be called someone's rabbi out of a deep place of relationship. In classes and life cycles and moments of joy and other moments of pain, the Parsha opens up, Re'eh Anochi noten lifnechem hayom, bracha uklala. Right? See, this day I set before you blessings and curse. And sometimes I feel like being a rabbi is both. Sforno, the 15th century commentator, he teaches, I present you this day with the choice of two extreme opposites, he says on this verse. The bracha is an extreme in that it provides you with more than you need, whereas the klala is another extreme, making sure that you have less than your basic needs. You have the choice of both before you. All you have to do is to make a choice, Sforno says. It's nice if it were that clear, as Sforno says, but life is far more complicated than just a clear blessing or just a clear curse. The reality is that life is filled with both bracha and klala, blessing and curse, and it is our honor to be with people as they confront both. The key to what I have learned since my time in the Rose Reading Room is that being a rabbi is not about me. It is not about us. That's the head fake, as Mitch Albom describes in Tuesdays with Maury. Rabbi Megdal, being a rabbi is about serving B'nai Yisrael and not ourselves. It is about teaching B'nai Yisrael, leading and guiding, but it is never about the teacher. It is not about us. Often it is our ability to get out of the way that the greatest moments happen. It is with our support and our courage to journey alongside someone that makes where they can make the greatest discoveries. But it is not about us. And often there are moments that nobody will ever see, which are the most profound moments in our rabbinates. It is not on the bima. It may be in a hospital room or in someone's apartment or a coffee that you have, but moments that no one will see. On my desk, I have a Mishnah taped down. It's a reminder to myself of how to prioritize and focus myself with the responsibilities which are too often overwhelming. In Pirkei Avot, it says, Rabbi Meir said, engage but little in business and busy yourself with Torah. Be of humble spirit before all men. And if you have neglected the Torah, you shall have many who bring you to neglect it. But if you have labored at the study of Torah, there is much reward to give unto you. It's hard to stay focused with the number of committee meetings and distractions and polls that a large congregation can draw you into that aren't necessarily rabbinic subjects that we either learned in rabbinical school or that actually benefit from the amount of our learning, or even from our vision for the congregation. So to understand where those boundaries are, at the center of what we must do must always be Torah in the specific and the broadest terms. So Rabbi Megdal, it has been a wonderful first week. And my blessing for you is that you find your voice as our teacher and advocate and counselor and leader. And I look forward to many years together in the sacred work in which we share. Shabbat Shalom.